coming from. I know just what you're running from. What matters ain't the who's baddest, but the ones who stop you falling from your ladder. 'Cause this ain't no place for no hero. This ain't no place for no better man. This ain't no place for no hero to go home. This ain't no place for no hero. This ain't no place for no better man. This ain't no place for no hero to go home.
I won't lie, guys. I feel like that song will be a great intro for some reason to a Westeros type show. Just fits the vibe perfectly because all the heroes die, you know. But hi, guys. Gonna have a kind of a nice chill stream. Don't know how long we're gonna go with this one. Schoolwork is starting to very much pick up, and getting to around the middle of the semester and midterms, a lot of projects and stuff. So that's why I didn't stream last week. But yeah, so you know, welcome everybody in here. Ashley, you're super early today, which is great, because you are the GOAT mod, but you're never this early, so it worries me a little bit. But yeah, hi Crab, how are you? Matthew, I'll be honest, I just know I always listen to the cover that is used for the Borderlands 2 game. But yeah, I don't really know much about the band that actually, makes that song or anything, but yeah. Hell yeah, Newton or Neutron. Welcome to the stream. But yes, I wear this jacket a lot because it's kind of cold down here in my basement until I turn my little heater down here or heater on down here. So I almost always have this on when I'm editing or just coming down here. But yeah. What will the final conflict in A Song of Ice and Fire be? The others, Daenerys and the Dragons, Euron and Cersei. I think the final conflict. This is a weird one because you could actually go a number of ways. Like, what do you mean by conflict? Will we actually see a confrontation, a war, a battle, or something like that? What do you mean, in terms of a political conflict? Because I think the last political conflict of the book series will be, what is our governmental system going to be? So if you want that answer, I think the last conflict of interest for the story will be that idea, right? One, how are we going to now? Are we going to continue doing the system where we have a king? How is that king elected, or is it a king or a queen? Is it we have a more of a, modern governmental system? What is that going to look like? Then next, it'll maybe if we get more of an epilogue type situation, kind of like maybe the Harry Potter books. If you want to look at that, would be okay. How do what are the questions of the new rulership going forward? What are the things that they would have to deal with going forward? But if you're talking about just a battle, who is the last evil or last bad character, I probably think it will be a combination of Euron and Cersei. I think the others threat, it makes the most sense for that to be dealt with before we get to the wrapping up of the story in terms of who is going to be on the throne and all that stuff. So I do think that the format of the show was right, that yes, you deal with the others first, then you deal with whatever's left. But I don't think they handled it all that well and concluded those things. If you actually think about the outline of season 8 and what events were supposed to transpire, it actually makes sense, but it doesn't make sense how you get to those things and how you conclude those major plot points. Yes, having a big battle for Winterfell and having that decided where the Night King dies and that's what destroys the others, whatever. That makes sense on paper, but how do you execute it? And so I do think a lot of those things made sense that the show was doing, and I think that structure worked for the books as well, but the books will just be executed a lot better, in my opinion. Who knows the name of the second channel with rereading or readings of the book? Bob, it should be the top link in the description, I believe. Let me make sure on that, but I think it is. I think it's top link in the description. If it's not there, it's just the Grease Goblin, or it's Grease Goblin's rereads. So yeah, if you guys want to see the rereads, head over to the second channel. Also, it's on my posts where I post about the rereads coming out. So if you want to just go to the community section on my YouTube page, you'll also see it there. I don't know if I added it to my homepage. yet. Yeah, it's not on my homepage yet. I have to add it as a linked channel. But yeah, if anybody wants to head over to those will be uploaded on those. But yeah. Go, sorry you had a bad day. Hope everything, gets better and stuff like that. Hi, Vlad. How are you? Thank you, Neutron. Appreciate that. Appreciate it. Conversation wise, yeah. So Stuart, Matthew, why did I say that? Matthew, I think it's probably going to be with Cersei and Euron, more than likely. I could see a situation where maybe it's similar to the show where Daenerys gets assassinated or some underhanded tactics like that. Maybe how, Aegon, the second, like his ending of it could be something similar to that idea. Because I don't think we're going to be able to fit a conflict of the others, Cersei and Euron, and then Daenerys all back to back. One of those will have to be resolved pretty quickly, and Daenerys is the one that makes the most amount of sense. Hi, Kirsty. How are you? So it's morning for you, Kirsty. Kirsty, I wonder. Well, you don't have to disclose this information, but I wonder, so what part of the world are you from? Because for me, it's it's evening right now. It's getting closer to dinner time. For me, I've nearly finished the Revan book. Long live the Emperor. Hell yeah, Vlad. Hell yeah. Hi, JC. How are you? Also, congrats on 500 subscribers. Did you see Preston's video on George's original wins plans? Seems like a stuff from the show is based on George's old notes on where he thought the series was going. I haven't seen his video, but based on that makes a lot of sense. Just based upon, you look at the plot points, a lot of the plot points that D&D had to work, from in the show, a lot of them are quite clever ideas, right? Think about Daenerys going, I will loosely say mad, but I think again it wasn't supposed to be like that. It was supposed to be she's more mentally conflicted and a bit broken down and stuff like that, and they didn't really execute that well. But the idea that by the end of it, Daenerys becomes kind of a villain of the story. Things like, for instance, the Night King and maybe how that all goes down at Winterfell, or there's a lot of events that make sense, like Bran becoming king, but then they don't execute them well or at all, and so those don't really make sense. And so I definitely can see that George R. R. Martin fed them information, it's just they didn't do a lot with it. But yeah. Also, this isn't just a Winds of Winter Q&A. If you want to ask me questions about Song of Ice and Fire or really anything, this is a pretty casual stream. Again, don't know how long it's going to go on for. Just as long as you guys are interested in all that stuff. But yeah. Australia, love to see that, Kirsty. I'd love to go to Australia at some point, but kind of in the future. We'll see. I think Dany's clash with Aegon will paint her in a villainous light. Yeah, I think so. There's a lot of things that are interesting about Aegon and Daenerys. I think Daenerys will already be painted in a bad light, and so that any action that she does, especially if she takes down Aegon, in my opinion, will be, public perception will go against her. And so I think that's a really fascinating idea, because you look at Daenerys, and I've talked about this so much, you think about the way that she went about doing things in Essos, right? Where he was somebody that after book one, he was somebody that had people around her that loved her because of her actions, right? Leading the Dothraki, freeing the Unsullied, freeing slaves, all these things. He was somebody that is well loved and respected and all those things in Essos. Well, I shouldn't say well loved, right? The slavers don't love her, stuff like that, but she has a pretty good, support base, right? When she comes to Westeros, that's going to be completely different. She's going to have almost no support, right? There's not going to be a lot of support for Daenerys in terms of the public. The public is going to view Daenerys as a foreign invader. She's going to get the absolute opposite of what Aegon gets. Now, there's a couple reasons for that. One, as much as the dragons show legitimacy for the Targaryens, people do not like the dragons, right? The dragons are basically a show that at any point the Targaryens could come and burn down your villages, burn down your homes, burn down your castles, and you are really powerless to do anything about that, right? So if you didn't have a dragon, you wanted the dragons to disappear, right? There's a reason that, for instance, Perfect example. Um, Rhaena Targaryen, the Queen of the West in Fire and Blood, not the Rhaena during the dance, but the Rhaena, the older sister of Jaehaerys. She basically put onto this idea, right? She would go to castle, and people would try to basically court her to get her maybe her dragon, or trying to get dragon eggs, trying to buy those things. And eventually she would feel like she needed to leave. She was kind of being pushed out of each of one of these castles. That's how people would view the dragons. So there's going to be a bit of that, right? People don't like the dragons. They remember the horror stories of Harrenhal, and maybe Maegor's reign or war on the faith, or they remember the dance, or these stories about the dragons. Then you're going to put that with, okay, she's coming over with this unsullied army. A lot of people in Westeros would view it kind of as like a sellsword army. The Dothraki, this, again, the perfect way to describe it is the way Viserys thinks about the Dothraki in Book 1. That's not just because Viserys is, who he is. That's the sentimentality of all of Westeros. Really. So you have these foreign armies coming over. You have Daenerys coming over with the dragons. And all of the while, Aegon, by the time Daenerys even gets to Westeros, will likely already be on the throne. Or at least about to be. So you're going to be coming over here going, okay, well, Aegon's already retaken the throne. So, okay, if Daenerys is coming over, that means Daenerys is either going to marry Aegon, or she's going to, support his claim. Whatever she's going to do, nobody would expect Daenerys to go against Aegon. And again, a lot of the public is not going to maybe believe something like, oh, Aegon's a Blackfire, he's not a true Targaryen, because Aegon will probably already be well loved by the public. The public is not going to accept the word of Daenerys, this, again, foreign invader who's trying to legitimize her claim. Then you put it with the prejudice that people have against women ruling, and you can already see, you can connect these dots where Aegon will be viewed really well, and Daenerys will not be. It's kind of almost a similar manner. I wouldn't say as distinctively, because Rhaenyra had a lot of people that supported her in Westeros, but it's kind of the people that maybe go against Rhaenyra. It would be their argument. Like that's what people may argue against Daenerys and her claim. And so that's the tough part of it, is Daenerys, in her mind, based on information she's probably going to get from Quaithe, possibly Illyrio and Pentos, whoever else, she's going to come to probably the conclusion that he's not actually a Targaryen. And so she's going to have all this information that she knows in her heart that he is basically taking their family off the throne. Even though the Blackfires are Targaryens, still the Blackfires, they are big enemies of the Targaryens. You have that aspect of it. And then you look at young Griff, who is kind of your model prince, your model king. It's kind of, he plays the part, right? Varys is going to be manipulating the public to go with him. I think the faith will like Aegon more than, for instance, the Lannister regime at the moment. Daenerys is going to be coming over at the worst possible time because people don't want another war. They don't want more of the War of the Five Kings. They want some peace and stability to go back to be able to farm, to prepare for the winter, prepare for all these different things. And so I think it's a really, interesting discussion point that was brought up about the two characters of Illyrio and Daenerys. So, or not Illyrio, I should say young Griff and Daenerys. But yeah, really good discussion points. Why it's one of my favorite plots going forward. Daenerys and Aegon will probably be similar to Dany versus Jon in the show. I think they definitely will take elements of that, right? I think there definitely could be that, where Daenerys and Aegon, maybe Daenerys is trying to make a good relationship with Aegon. I personally don't think we'll get to see a love thing between Aegon and Daenerys, because I think that young Griff has already shown signs of having a temper, of being somebody that can be quite arrogant. We see this specifically in when Tyrion and young Griff are playing Savas. That kind of comes out. And you see that a young kid, right? I don't care who you are. It is very difficult to possess traits of power not corrupting you at how young of an age young Griff is, or Aegon is. And you got to think about everything that's going to be happening. In the span of just like maybe a couple months, young Griff will go to being the king of Westeros, possibly marrying Arianne or Marjorie, Sansa, whoever you think, all those things, and having absolute power that quickly. I personally think that's going to go to his head a bit. I think that's going to really also change that relationship between Daenerys and young Griff, whereas young Griff, like Tyrion, said before, was kind of going to Daenerys as a beggar, more or less, kind of like Quentin is. Really, Quentin is what I would say. Quentin is I would say, a worse version of young Griff, because at least young Griff was going to have like an actual physical army he was bringing to Daenerys in the Golden Company. But yeah, so with that being said, young Griff is going to look at Daenerys like, where were you? I was the one avenging our family, all these things, because he's not going to know he's a Blackfire or anything like that. He's the one that brought the Targaryens back to the throne, not Daenerys. Daenerys is disrupting the peace that he's already set forward. So, again, I really love the Daenerys and Aegon conversation. Missed the last couple of lives, but I'm back. Welcome back, Paul, and for your support as a member. Appreciate you. I also do think we will see some of that Sansa versus Daenerys type stuff. I actually like that dynamic in the show. It makes a lot of sense, right? That's something I never complained about. I mean, I think at times it wasn't natural, like their disdain towards each other. Like it felt kind of weird at times. And I don't know if that's the dialogue. I don't know if just the way scenes were acted at times. But I think that in the show, I think they had a really good concept, right? Because like put this into the back of your mind, right? If you're somebody like Sansa, and you see that this character in Daenerys, who let's say she does get with Jon, is basically influencing Jon to bend the knee, right? To undo everything Robb did and all of this stuff. And meanwhile, if you're Sansa, you've got to be sitting here going, okay, you've been in King's Landing. You've seen the politics of all this stuff. Is Daenerys using Jon just to get the North behind her and all that stuff? And I think that she'll recognize, again, she's being taught by Littlefinger, tactics, not only just, in terms of playing the Game of Thrones, but just thinking the dragons pose a really massive threat. And so I think I like a lot of the ideas that the show did with Sansa and Daenerys. I just don't think it was executed well at times. Um, the Greens crowned Aegon the second to give him legitimacy. That's true. I think the same will be kind of true of young Griff, though, right? Like, I think something similar, for instance, is I think the sword Blackfire, Aegon the First sword, probably will be given to young Griff upon maybe his coronation or around that time. I think he will be kinged for all of those reasons. I think Illyrio and Varys very much will push for that as well. Hey, Fagon or, Aegon, whichever you want to go with, is also one of my favorite characters. I really do enjoy him. Do you think that Lewin Martell could have survived the Trident? Is it possible? Yeah. I think in terms of, again, it's a battlefield, right? There's just chaos going around everywhere. Could it be possible that Lewin Martell could be a character like the elder brother and somehow he managed to survive? Yeah, I think that's definitely possible. The only thing I would throw at that, and I'd be interested to see what your rationale is on this, is so Lewin Martell is one of the more notable characters, right? One of the more notable characters during the battle of the Trident. It would be quite weird if nobody like noticed him, in his armor, and nobody noticed him in his body or things like that. Like, I would say that's kind of an interesting idea, Ashley, but I would be interested to see like your rationale on certain things, because I think it is possible, but I don't think it's necessarily likely. What would the idea be then if Lewin Martell kind of sitting out watching as a lot of his family is killed, right? That's another thing I'd be interested in. Is it just because he's maybe found, himself, he's found religion, he's found inner peace, and so he isn't as vengeful, he isn't all those other type of things? That's something that's interesting. I would love to see your rationale, though, on that, Ashley. Dany captures King's Landing, but Varys the Spider will enter through the Red Keep and assassinate her. It would be very interesting, Vlad, if you want to add on to that theory. What if it's Tyrion and Varys? We see something kind of similar to maybe a mirror of Tywin's death. Maybe it would be go even further. So the show brought up this idea where Tyrion was basically imprisoned because he betrays Daenerys or whatever. Very loosely betrays. He just basically is like, I don't like what you're doing. And she's like, okay, go to jail now, type thing. What if Varys frees Tyrion and those two together kill Daenerys? think it's an interesting idea. It's not what I would predict, but I think that would be interesting. It would really go back to, Tywin's death. It would mirror, once again, something he's done in the past that was very influential to him as a character. It would also mirror what I think will happen with Jaime and having to kill another ruler in Cersei, and this time being his sister. So, some interesting ideas. Agreed, Ghost, on the idea of Blackfire being presented to Aegon on coronation. Daenerys and Aegon's dragon fight will cause the destruction of King's Landing. Very easily could. That definitely could be the thing that pushes it over. What if it was something like this where maybe Daenerys does win, right? She beats young Griff, which I think most of us predict, but she goes further, right? Because of the destruction that's happened with their fight, and maybe Drogon is injured and all these things that, she thinks about how this whole city supported young Griff over her and all these claims, how everyone seemed to turn against her. That could maybe lead to where she goes a little bit overboard, right? Where she has maybe a moment or a cracking like she does in the show. It would add a reason as to why that occurs. Now, yes, there'd be way more built up to a moment like that, of course, but that is something that I could see leading to something like that. And especially when you have George R. R. Martin himself saying, we're going to see basically another version of the Dance of the Dragons, that implies that there's going to be somebody else with the dragon fighting Daenerys. Now, whether that's because the others somehow get a dragon like in the show, or whether that's because young Griff gets a dragon, or whether that's because Jon gets a dragon, or Euron, whatever, it does seem like we will at least see some dragon on dragon action at some point. I love that we're bringing this up. JC, I'm still waiting for the Dany hate video. I want to see your deep thoughts as to why you are not a big fan of Daenerys. Like, I'm not the bit, like, she's not one of my favorite characters, but I do like Daenerys. I think she's really still a good POV and all that stuff. She just isn't like my favorite or anything like that. That's true, Ghost. Like, that's a good point, like, to bring up, going back to the Aegon stuff. If Aegon brings peace to all the people, and everybody seems like they're going back to a normal semblance of life, and then Daenerys comes over and that gets upheaved, well, yeah, they're going to be pissed off at Daenerys, more than likely, because she's the one that disrupted that. Hi, PK, how are you? Also, Kirsty, I really like that idea, by the way. I've come to believe that the elder brother is a member of Aerys's Kingsguard. If that were true, having not just one beloved and Kingsguard Barristan, but two could add to her legitimacy. Definitely true. Well, my question would be, Ashley, why has he stayed out of, like, the limelight for so long? Do you think Rhaegar and Lyanna's relationship will ever be touched on by the character, if it ever comes out, right? So practical. If, for instance, Jon is informed of who his parents are, stuff like that, yes, we are definitely going to get reflection into Rhaegar and Lyanna. That is a world-shifting event. The fact that the show didn't even bother after it's basically revealed to Jon who his parents are, and that there's no discussion about it. There's no questioning about Rhaegar and Lyanna and how many thousands of people died and what that set in motion for the world is insane. So yes, likely, when we see Rhaegar and Lyanna is confirmed, or again, you can go any way you want to go with this theory. Whatever you think happened at the Tower of Joy, wherever you think Jon's parents are, that is a major shifting event that, yes, people will talk about. You can have people like Daenerys, who this whole time, who's been having this idolized version of Rhaegar, she might have her beliefs confirmed that Rhaegar and Lyanna were in love and all this stuff. And, I think it will be a very heavy focus of not the next book, but probably A Dream of Spring. That's a major point to the story. Hi, Uzair. I don't think I said that right. I apologize if I said that wrong, but welcome to the stream. Hope you enjoy. I didn't realize Tyrion was intentionally misleading Griff/young Griff to go to Westeros until I reread A Dance with Dragons. Really shows how much of a prick Tyrion was in A Dance with Dragons. Yes. But what I find is so funny is that, like, even when Tyrion does mislead people or he manipulating people, he's telling them truths as well, right? Like everything he kind of says to young Griff is true. The only thing that's missing is that if young Griff, doesn't go to Daenerys, he doesn't have the dragons. And so young Griff stands no chance if Daenerys comes to Westeros. And that's the thing that like Tyrion doesn't really say, but in a lot of ways Tyrion is right. If young Griff goes to Daenerys right now, he's got the Golden Company with him. Again, Daenerys is already married by the time young Griff gets there. What is young Griff to do now, right? Now you're just you're a relative, but Daenerys is going to say that her claim is the right claim, not his, more or less. Or maybe that doesn't occur. Maybe they joint rule until it's figured out young Griff is maybe not who he says he is. Is Daenerys even skeptical of that? In a lot of ways, I think that you can almost go either way with young Griff and his decision making about either going to Westeros or going to Daenerys. I think both had pros and cons, but I do think it's an interesting part of Dance with Dragons is the actual part with young Griff. Sansa has lived far too long. Vlad, I don't know about that one, Chief. I am sorry for your loss. Who's there? Speaking of Littlefinger, how do you see his departure playing out in the books? Again, I think that for the most part, it'll be, if you look at the broad outline of Littlefinger's character arc of the show, it'll be something similar, but very much, I think, done differently. I think it will be Sansa outsmarting Littlefinger. I really did not like the idea where Bran just puts all these things into place, and that's what gets Sansa to overcome Littlefinger. It should be Sansa on her own, right? And we're not going to have something stupid where Sansa gets sold off to the Boltons or some nonsense, because that just completely derails her plotline. Because Sansa's plotline is going from an idea of, okay, the apprentice becomes the master. It's the idea of, the rule of two with the Sith in Star Wars. Eventually, Sansa going to outsmart Littlefinger, understand all the things he's been doing, get some things into context, and realize that Littlefinger is still using her like a pawn and things like that. And also, his relationship with her is really creepy and weird. So eventually, Sansa is going to gain that upper hand. And something that I've talked about quite a lot is that Littlefinger having Sansa marry Harry the Heir makes almost no sense in a lot of ways, because it takes all of the power that Littlefinger has and now takes it away, right? Because if somebody like Robin then dies and Harry the Heir becomes, the next ruler, well, Littlefinger doesn't have direct control over Harry the Heir. He's relying on Sansa to do that for him. And if Sansa at any point turns against him, well, he's screwed, right? So that's a little bit of there that I think Littlefinger eventually will get undone by Sansa. That is that is the thing I believe. Ditto, things have been good, just really busy. I'll be honest, really busy. This is probably the first week I've had to actually make out like a to-do, like things I need to get done this week. So yeah, I'm also a bit stressed because I have a group presentation that is due either I don't even know when we're presenting, to be honest, because the teacher's not the most clear about things. We're either presenting tomorrow or Thursday. And my group is one of those groups that I can already tell, I shouldn't say already, I mean, I pretty much can, that you don't want to be with in a group project. Like they haven't, we have to do a presentation, right? So we have to have slides made. I'm the only one that's made the slides, and then we have to do it tomorrow. So I'm kind of worried, okay, am I going to have to put slides in, later tonight, fill in any gaps and do extra work? I don't know. I've been very frustrated with group projects in general at school. And maybe it's because I'm usually older, usually at least like a year or two, maybe 3 older than the people I'm working with, that nobody wants to ever step up to be in a leadership role, which I don't like. I do not like being in a leadership role. I like to be in a role where I do what my job is. But I've just realized throughout the last 2 years worth of college is that people do not like to, they will not get their stuff done unless somebody takes control. And I don't know, the whole big thing. But I have a group project. I have a video project segment I have to do for school that I have done, but I have to edit it. And then I've still got one video that I'm just, I feel overwhelmed on editing it because it's the Purple Wedding video. It's like a 40, 50-minute video, long video. I have a lot of quotes and stuff I want to put in that I have to edit. It's just a lot of editing. That project will probably be out Sunday. And yeah, just again, just a lot of, very busy right now. Applying for, or not applying, but approved for graduation. So I'll graduate in the spring. I have birthday stuff this weekend for myself. So yeah, it's just very busy time. But yeah, Ditto, how are you doing? Aegon the Second, there's a lot of rumors about him in the books, but yes, he seemed to do a lot of bad things. But I don't know about that specific one. I like the idea of Robin surviving just to throw a wrench into Baelish's plans. I think that Robin is going to live. Littlefinger never states his plans, and so I don't think Robin dies, because if Robin dies, Littlefinger loses a lot of his control over the Vale, or the power that he has. Hi, Dakota. We were just answering random questions. It's not different than Maester Aemon staying out of his family conflicts. The only thing I would say with that, Ashley, is Maester Aemon kind of does it for different reasons. Maester Aemon does it, one, because, again, he doesn't want people using him as a pawn against Aegon, willingly or unwillingly. And another part of that is he already had a vow to the Maesters. So maybe Lewin, as being a Kingsguard, right? He also, like, he can't marry and things like that. But his are a bit different. Like, his is a bit different in terms of if he views, like, the next heir to be Viserys, right? You'd think his vows would bring him there. But I don't know. It's an interesting idea. I would say Team Howland for Ashara on that. I am very far behind in chat, so if you are chatting something, I am not talking about it much, or I haven't gotten there yet, I am pretty far back. But yeah, welcome another team, Young Griffer. We'd love to see that. I agree, Kirsty. I think it's a really good representation of what kind of Sansa and Littlefinger's relationship is right now. Okay, interesting, Ashley. Interesting ideas about Lewin. Do you think the dragons will go extinct at the end of the series? They have to, Ghost. In my opinion, the dragons cannot be alive by the end of the series. It makes no sense for them to be so. Yeah, I don't think that they will survive. Interesting, Ashley. On Lewin, the idea. I like it. I like those ideas. I like characters like Maegor and Robert. I do find that they're very fascinating characters. I really love talking about Maegor and his character overall, but not an opinion shared by, I would say, many. I think personally, Matthew, he would still support Daenerys. I think he's still too invested in her. I think there would be some conflict of loyalty within him. I think he would still go with Daenerys. He's just too loyal to her at this point, too committed to her. There's also the issue of, is Jon legitimized or is he a bastard, right? Is he a bastard of Lyanna and Rhaegar? That's another wrench to throw into that as well. But yeah. Also, Barristan will make it to Westeros, and if he doesn't, I'll be sad. Do you think the methods of Maegor Targaryen helped with Jaehaerys Targaryen's great role by cleaning up this? Yes. I've made a number of videos like kind of on that idea, but Maegor paved the way for Jaehaerys to have a pretty good reign. The Faith was at a pretty all-time power level right before Maegor's reign, or I guess I would say during Aenys' reign, and Maegor basically obliterated them. He told them, you can't have weapons, He took down their strength to where they could not really openly oppose the Targaryens. All Jaehaerys had to do was not look like a complete asshole that just wanted to get everybody killed, and he wanted to actually show peace, but also using strength, right? Just being a mixture of Aenys and Maegor, and just show his strength. That's all he had to do. Well, what are the Faith going to do? They've been completely disarmed. They can't stand against another dragon. The public does not want any more wars. They want the peace to start. Everything that Maegor did in a lot of ways helps Jaehaerys' reign a ton. Regardless of what you want to say about Maegor, Maegor is vital to how long the dynasty even lasts as a whole. So, yeah. They're going to do all the work, and Greece is going to take all the credit. That's definitely what's going to happen. That's definitely what's going to happen, Dakota. I don't think I've ever been in a project in my life where I've been the one where I feel like I have not pulled my weight. I hate. Okay, this is going to be a whole nother rant because Dakota brought it up. Group projects in school, in my opinion, I see why they are used and all of that stuff. But the argument that, oh, well, when you go into the workforce, you're going to have to work with people and stuff like that is a terrible argument. It is a terrible argument. In school, people are not forced to go to school. Like, people can just not go to school. They can just not care about their grades, whatever, right? In a workforce, for the most part, this is your, like, ability to live. If you do not do your job and get fired, you legitimately will be homeless or whatever, right? And again, I know you can have bad workers and things like that, right? But it's just different. It's different. Like, so I don't know. I hate the whole argument of, oh, school work group projects are, they should be required and all this stuff. It's like, no, I don't think they should. I've never gotten anything done, I feel like, in a group project most of the time. Like, I would say 80% of the time that I could not have just done myself, and would have been easier and more time efficient if I had just done it myself instead of other people wasting my time. That's genuinely how I feel about most group projects. Vlad, I will consider that video. I will consider it. Hate group projects? Yes, Matthew. They are dumb in my opinion. I think the Hound will play a vital role in Littlefinger's downfall and driving the wedge between he and Sansa because the Hound directly witnessed Littlefinger's betrayal of Ned with the Gold Cloaks. I think it's a really good idea, especially when you think about Sansa's probably going to be coming to the Riverlands, possibly trying to head north. The Hound is going to be in that area. I think she could easily meet up with Arya in the area, who I think the Hound will run into first. So yeah, I think that's a really good possibility. Yeah, so again, Dakota, I am somebody that when I was going into school, I really didn't know what I wanted to. I mean, I thought I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into like computer science, and I have gone to two different colleges. So I went to a community college, which is just like a 2-year college to get my general education done. And I learned pretty quickly that I did not want to go into that field. And I didn't really change until I went to my second college. So I then was behind because I took a bunch of classes that I didn't like doing, kind of set me back. And so I kind of made a decision, well, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life, right? I don't want to do computer science for the rest of my life. I'm not going to enjoy it. I'm not going to like it. I'm going to hate it. So yeah, but by the time I graduate, I will be 25. Most people in the United States that graduate 22, like that's 4 years college. Some people, maybe you take a year off. Maybe, you don't go as heavy on classes 23. So yeah, I'm usually, for the most part, especially in my upper level classes, I am working with people that are usually younger than me. So yeah, it is a weird thing to think about. But yeah, Ghost, it's not great. It's not great. Hang in there in your group project, man. Lots of followers, but they need a king to lead them. I hate it. I hate it so much. I have a teacher that I stay in contact with from when I was in high school because she was one of my favorite teachers, and I always complain to her whenever I go in to see her or whatever catch up. I always like I genuinely hate having to be a leader type role, but I feel like I'm always thrust into it. I feel like it every time. Even sometimes in like a like friend group situation, like if we're playing like a battle royale or something like that, I feel like I'm always in that position. But you know, hi Manveer, how are you? What are you looking forward to reading in Fire and Blood Part 2? Me personally, I'm looking forward to reading about Aegon the Fourth and the Blackfire Rebellion. I agree. I think that's a great one to point out. I also am very interested to see Viserys the Second. I want to get more into his character, as you know, he was working in the background a lot of the times for the kings to come after Fire and Blood Part 1, like Baelor and Daeron and some of the other characters. But yeah, I'm interested to see a lot about him, maybe even his death, some of the rumors behind that. Thank you for the happy early birthday. I am turning 25, Space. I'm turning 25 on, is it Friday? Saturday? I'm turning 25 on a Saturday. Is it bad that I didn't know what day of the week it was? Maybe. 1 year closer to wins. We hope, JC. Thank you. I went to go see Captain America Saturday and it was aggressively mediocre. Kind of a lot of what I've heard. I'm just kind of not really at this point willing to spend money to see Marvel stuff unless I hear good things about it. And what a shock. Another mediocre to bad product from Marvel. What a shock. Crab just yelling Bessie in chat is going to get me every time. Unfortunately, Space, I think the dragons have to die. Unfortunately. I see Jon as a bastard. If Daemon Blackfire is a bastard, then Jon should be. Yeah, the idea is going to be, okay, well, did Rhaegar annul his marriage with Elia and then legally marry Lyanna? Or did Rhaegar pull an old Targaryen thing like maybe Maegor or Aegon where he had multiple wives? Then how do you view Jon? That's what's it's gonna be based upon. I really hope the new show ends up being good. It feels like everything has been slow since House of the Dragon. Yeah, ditto. It's something that I never experienced with House of the Dragon season 1 and 2. And a lot of that's because I liked House of the Dragon season 1 a lot. I thought it was good. I don't think it was like great or anything. I don't think it was like, top television I've ever seen, but I thought it was, an 8 out of 10, which is a pretty good rating. I think I'm fairly critical of media. And so House of the Dragon season 2 definitely dipped, and yeah, I mean, I'm not excited for House of the Dragon season 3 really. Like, I'm gonna watch it, I'm gonna see what they do with it, and hopefully they can buy me back into the show, but I just kind of doubt it. But we'll see. This is more of a question for end of the books, but I feel the book should end with a Targaryen on the throne with dragons. If it's another house, I think there will always be fighting for the throne. So I actually almost disagree with that, Paul. So if there are dragons still alive, at some point, and I saw that this is mentioned earlier, dragons, I believe, can change their genders, if I'm not mistaken on that. So they can, I guess, is the correct term sex? I don't know. Whatever. They can still kind of like actually have eggs. I don't know exactly on that. I don't know all the genetic stuff, but my thing with the dragons and the Targaryens being on the throne is, to me, it almost feels like, okay, well, what changed? What changed from the start of Aegon's conquest to now? We're still going to be in a situation where you have one person ruling over the realm, and all it takes is one person to start another dance. And so you just keep having that violence. You just keep having that turmoil. But this is interesting because I actually think you're right, Paul. I actually have a video planned for next week. That's going to be why I believe Westeros is doomed, because if we do the alternative where maybe somebody is elected to become the king, or you have more of a, all of the, lands or kingdoms have more say in the rulership or governance of the realm's pretty corrupt, and there's a lot of ways of manipulating that. So how does Westeros ever function as a society? I don't know. If you don't do if you don't do your job, you get fired. I agree. as a person in the workforce, it's definitely not like a group project. And employees actually care about their project because they could get fired plus get paid. Yeah, exactly. That's my whole thing, right? And this is the thing you constantly hear, whether it's in high school, whether it's in college, is that, oh, group projects, well, you need to be able to work with other people and stuff like that. Where it's like, yes, to certain degrees, whatever field you're going into, you may be working with people a ton. You may be, working with, all that. But a lot of the times you're not going to be just working with people of your own, age. You're not going to be working with people that, are kind of where the people are at school. A lot of people at school are fairly, lazy. They don't like to do things or whatever. It's very different in the workforce where you're paying your job is how you're paying for your bills. It's how you're paying for you to live as an individual, family, whatever. And if you're, if you're not doing, if you have a quota, right? Let's say you're somebody working in sales, something like that. If you have a quota that you need to do this by the end of the month, or you need to do whatever you have to do, right? You have to do, you're an accountant. You have to start working on all these tax stuff, right? If you don't do those things and your boss goes, wait, why aren't you doing those things? You might get reprimanded maybe the first time, or maybe you'll get something that's not firing, but you consistently do that stuff, you are more than likely going to get fired. In school, what's going to happen? You're going to get a bad grade? Like, it's not the same. That's all I'm going to say. Are you doing college for something film related, or is it something completely outside of doing it? So, I'm going to school for basically video editing, and then also for like strategic marketing type idea. And so, yeah, I don't know. I'm in a weird spot right now because I wish the college focused more on what I want to learn. Like, the problem with the college is it's fairly cheap, so I am going to not have debt after school, which is nice. But at the same time, it's like, to take production classes, right? You're not taking a focus of one certain thing in production. So for instance, I'm in an advanced video production. Well, I'm not being like taught how to do what specifically I want to do in the workforce. I'm being taught how to do like everything. But at the same time, because I'm being taught everything, I don't feel like I'm necessarily learning a ton on the stuff I actually care about. Like, I'm learning very surface level stuff. So for instance, we have to like film segments for a show for the school. These segments can be anything. Like, it could be something like how I do every week, where I do like a book review. So I do a chapter review. I can't really submit that because we're kind of constrained on how long they have to be. Like, they have to be like between a minute and a half and like 5 minutes. But like, you get that idea. Like, I could splice it into like a 5-minute segment, put it on there, right? But like, everything that I've learned off of editing is either from me experimenting with it, or it's from, things like watching other YouTubers and how they do their own videos. Like, something that I started to do with like how I have videos on, or not videos, images on screen, or how I do other things. A lot of that comes off of, okay, watching how other YouTubers do it and how similar a lot of the styles are. Like, scaling in a video, scaling out a video, position, how how you see In Deep Geek collab like 2 images up at the same time. You'll have them like moving slightly, like stuff like that. So yeah, that's more or less kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm also working. I'm taking audio production, which is something I enjoy more than video production. So yeah. I get that, Vlad. I have a couple friends that are in kind of the science field. Also, I will say this. Google should always be used over Microsoft. I don't care what you say. Google Drive is way better than Microsoft. I know that Microsoft is what is used professionally, it seems like, but man, Google Docs is way better than Microsoft Word, and you cannot convince me otherwise. Hi, Cannibal. How are you? I'm turning 25th on April 12th this year. Well, happy early birthday to you. Me and you have pretty close birthdays. Hell yeah, Dakota. You're getting a little old, though. Ashley, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. Sure. My birthday is March 1st, if that helps you. I'm 29 on the first day. We almost have some 30-year-olds here. Some of my mods are almost 30. You guys are getting old. Hold on. I lost track of where I was. If Andor Season 2 fails me, I will be disappointed. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Happy birthday, Grease. Does Millie Alcock do cameos? I don't know, but that's something we should look into, Crab. Hey, you know what? Maybe. Here's what we'll do. I'll look up if she does do cameos or something like that, okay? And then for the live streams in the future, I'll put a goal at the bottom. That's just a fund for a Millie Alcock cameo. Oh, that'd be a good time. I'm 24 and cooked people like Mehmed II cooking of the Queen of Cities Constantinople at age of 21. That sounds great. I don't know what that means, Uzair. I unfortunately I do not know what that means. Basically, first time making a live stream forever. Well, welcome, Gerg. I almost said Greg, but welcome. Conquering. Okay, you had me confused there with the cooking. Grease, don't lie. You're actually a very old faceless assassin who took the face of a 25-year-old man. I mean, that would add up. That would add up. That I have back problems, and I have to get on Friday. Because I've been having like digestive issues, but it seems like it's esophagus related, and then I'm having like chest tenderness, and so I got to get like a chest X-ray, and then I got to get a esophagram, I think, or something, where I drink something and they look, I don't know. Yeah, so as a 24-year-old going on 25, the health concerns are there. Well, I won't say health concern, but the health issues, let's say. But yeah. A man must graduate college. That's true. I haven't gotten my diploma of assassinating people. Most people my age, 18 and 20, are pretty lazy when it comes to responsibilities, including myself at times. I mean, people like 24 as well. I'm not just saying like, I don't know. I just feel like as somebody who group projects has seen this, somebody who basically became I wasn't a manager because I wasn't given that title, but I was more or less the person in charge of like my like job field. For like the last 2 to 3 years that I worked at a grocery store, I was basically like the lead stalker, so I'd have to train people and stuff for like night shift and stuff like that. And watching people and their work ethics from the ages of like 16 to like 20 is crazy to me. I don't know. We love to see that plug, Matthew. Orain Waters, who's he loyal to? What do you think his role would be going forward? And is he Aerys's bastard? I think he could be Aerys's bastard. I think it's a really good idea, Ashley. I think he's loyal to himself. I don't think he's loyal to any one person. I think likely he will get onto the bandwagon of Young Griff. That's likely where I think he's going to go. Hi, Vlad. Thank you for stopping in. Are there any grease goblins in advanced video production? I don't know. I don't think so. There's I don't know. There's a good mix of people that I think are cool in there. I like one of the good like experiences I've had with like group projects came from in that class. I worked with 2 other guys do like basically like an advertisement type thing, and it worked out pretty well. Then there's some other people that are they're a little weird. So I don't know. Well, you see, JC, some of them, just like to be haters. It's just how it is. Some of them are lurkers, and some of them are haters. And Dakota leads the army of the haters, or the trolls. The haters and the trolls. I don't even mean that in a bad way, because sometimes it makes the stream interesting. Hi, April, by the way. I have not remixed. I have not. I will have to look into that though. Well, you see, Kara, you're still a perfectly young age. I'm just cooking some of my mods, Kara. That's all. I just like to give them shit sometimes because they give me shit, you know? So calling Dakota an old bastard, it's just funny. Well, you see, here's the thing, Dakota. Some would say leading the fray loyalists are the haters. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to end stream. I still got a lot of work to do tonight. I also got to eat dinner. So I'm going to stop the stream here. I didn't get to everybody's like comments and stuff. I tried to get to the ones I thought were, you know, the most interesting and stuff like that. And here comes Ricky as I close the stream. Here's this guy, Ricky. He's also an old guy too. But yeah. Also, if you haven't checked out our second live streamer show, you know, check that out. But I hope everybody has a great day, great week. I hope everybody had a good Monday. Crab's adding to the Millie cameo, not letting me finish out the stream. But thank you, Crab. I appreciate you. I'll look into the Millie cameo for you. But